At 70 years old, the office looked almost exactly the way it had looked 10 years earlier. The same fluorescent lights, the same coffee mug beside the keyboard, the same family photograph slowly fading near the monitor. Only the retirement date had changed. At 60, he said he would work until 65. At 65, he needed 2 more years. At 67, the mortgage was still large. The car payment had been replaced by another car payment, and helping the family had quietly become a permanent monthly expense. So, he kept going. By 70, he had earned hundreds of additional paychecks. Yet when he finally left the building, he did not feel financially free. He felt exposed. This is one of the most painful misunderstandings about retirement: the belief that working longer automatically creates security. Sometimes it does. Additional working years can increase savings, reduce debt, and give someone more time to prepare. But extra time only helps when that time changes the financial structure of your life. If the same debts remain, the same lifestyle continues, and the same obligations absorb every raise, working longer may not solve the problem. It may only delay the day you are forced to face it. That is how responsible people can work until 70 and still retire broke. Not because they never earned money, not because they did not work hard, but because their life continued to require a full-time paycheck. As long as a salary arrives, many financial weaknesses do not feel urgent. A large housing payment feels manageable. A vehicle loan feels normal. Credit card balances remain inconvenient rather than frightening. Helping an adult child feels temporary, even after several years. Nothing looks disastrous on its own. That is what makes these habits invisible. Financial insecurity is often built from reasonable commitments that were never meant to exist at the same time. A house chosen during peak earning years. A vehicle replaced before the previous financial strain disappeared. A home improvement loan. Recurring family support. Insurance, repairs, medical costs, subscriptions, and conveniences that slowly became part of normal life. Each expense has an explanation. But retirement does not evaluate the story behind a payment. It only asks whether that payment can still be supported when the paycheck stops. During your working years, stability often means keeping up. In retirement, stability means reducing how much your life depends on income you must continue earning. Those are not the same thing. A person can make every payment on time and still have almost no margin. They can have a respectable salary and a comfortable home, yet remain one retirement date away from discovering that their life was built around employment. A paycheck can hide structural weakness. As long as enough money enters the account each month, the system appears to work. But a system that works only while you are working is not yet a retirement plan. It is an employment-dependent lifestyle. Imagine 2 people who both decide to work 5 additional years. The first uses those years to eliminate debt, lower fixed expenses, increase savings, and practice living on a retirement-level income. The second continues the same lifestyle, finances another vehicle, takes on a renovation, supports family without clear limits, and saves whatever happens to remain. Both worked 5 more years, but only one used those years to prepare for retirement. The other simply financed the present for longer. That is the hidden danger of saying, "I will just keep working." It sounds like a plan because it removes the immediate pressure. But postponement and preparation are not the same thing. Working longer becomes avoidance when there is no clear answer to 3 questions. What will be different at the end of those additional years? Which obligations will disappear? And how much less will your life depend on a paycheck? Without those answers, extra working years can become an expensive waiting room. You are still earning. You are still paying. You are still hoping. But the underlying structure remains unchanged. There is also a psychological reason this happens. For many people, reducing a lifestyle feels more painful than extending a career. Downsizing a home can feel like losing memories, status, or proof of success. Telling an adult child that financial support must change can feel selfish. Keeping an older car can feel like moving backward. Looking closely at retirement numbers can create anxiety, especially when those numbers challenge the future you imagined. So the mind chooses the option that feels less disruptive. Keep working. It preserves the house. It preserves the routines. It avoids difficult conversations. It delays the need to decide what is truly essential. But real discipline is not only the willingness to work longer. It is also the willingness to redesign a life that has become too dependent on work. Many people ask, how much do I need to retire? A more useful question may be, how much of my current life should follow me into retirement? Not every expense deserves permanent protection. Some support health, comfort, meaning, and connection. Others survive because they became normal. There is a difference between a life you value and a lifestyle you are afraid to change. Retirement makes that difference visible. Consider the home. It may represent safety and achievement, but it can also demand a mortgage, taxes, insurance, repairs, and constant maintenance. The question is not whether everyone should sell. It is whether the home still serves the life you are entering, or whether your future is being organized around protecting it. Family support is more complicated. Parents and grandparents often help because they care deeply. But when support has no limit, timeline, or conversation about sustainability, love can become financially entangled with dependency. The parent keeps working because the child needs help. The child adjusts because the help keeps arriving. Soon, the person approaching retirement is not working only for their own future. They are working to maintain an entire network of expectations. Debt creates another version of the same trap. Debt does not only cost interest, it consumes future flexibility. Every payment carried into retirement claims part of an income that may already be lower. Every fixed obligation makes it harder to respond when life changes. A medical expense appears. A home repair becomes unavoidable. Prices rise. A family member asks for help. Retirement becomes dangerous when there is no margin if even one of these things happens. Margin is the space between what life costs and what your resources can support. That space gives you time to think. It allows you to say no. It protects you from having to borrow, sell, move, or return to work under pressure. Many people focus almost entirely on the size of their retirement accounts. But what you have is only one side of the equation. The number of claims against that money matters just as much. A moderate retirement fund supporting a flexible life may create more peace than a larger fund supporting debt, high fixed expenses, and several financial dependents. Security is not only what you own, it is how much freedom remains after every obligation has been paid. This is why someone can work until 70 and still feel broke. Broke does not always mean having nothing. Sometimes it means having no room for an unexpected bill, no room to help without harming yourself, no room to change your mind, no room to enjoy the money you spent decades earning. This is not a moral failure. It is often the result of a financial life that evolved gradually and was never redesigned. The warning signs usually appear before retirement. The first is that the retirement date moves every year, but there is no written plan describing what the extra time will accomplish. I need to work a little longer is not specific enough. Will the mortgage be gone? Will a loan be eliminated? Will savings increase by a defined amount? Will an expensive commitment end? Extra years need a job. Otherwise, they disappear into ordinary spending. Another warning sign is that your income has risen, but your monthly margin has not. You earn more than you did years ago, yet after housing, vehicles, debt, insurance, family support, and recurring expenses, little remains. A third warning sign is that you do not know the true cost of your lifestyle. You may know the monthly bills but overlook repairs, medical costs, taxes, maintenance, gifts, travel, and replacement expenses. The final warning sign is that you have never practiced living on your expected retirement income. Avoiding that test does not protect you. It only ensures that the first real test happens after the paycheck is gone. A useful way to begin is the Paycheck Dependency Test. For 1 week, do not cut anything. Simply observe. Write down your fixed payments, recurring commitments, irregular expenses, and financial support for other people. Then place each one into 3 categories. This will continue in retirement. This could be reduced. And this only works because I still receive a full-time paycheck. That third category may include a debt payment, an expensive home, repeated family support, or a lifestyle dependent on overtime, bonuses, or constant employment. Look at that category without judgment. Then ask, if my salary disappeared next year, which obligation would control my decisions? That is your point of dependency. Do not try to solve your entire retirement in 1 weekend. Choose one obligation and investigate it. What does it cost over a full year? When does it end? Could it be reduced, renegotiated, replaced, or given a clear limit? What conversation have you been avoiding? This is more useful than randomly cutting small pleasures. Coffee is rarely what keeps someone working until 70. Large fixed commitments do. The house that consumes too much. The vehicle cycle that never ends. The debt without an exit date. The support that became permanent. Small expenses matter. But large commitments determine the shape of your future. That may still involve working longer. But now, those extra years have a purpose. Perhaps 1 additional year eliminates a loan. Perhaps 2 years build a cash reserve. Perhaps that time allows you to reduce housing costs or prepare a family member for less support. There is no shame in working until 70. The problem is not the age. It is reaching that age without changing the conditions that made retirement impossible earlier. Working longer should strengthen your choices. It should not become the only choice you have left. Return to that office for a moment. The fading photograph. The coffee mug. The retirement date moved one final time. Imagine that the person sitting there had used the previous 5 years differently. Not perfectly, not dramatically, but intentionally. 1 debt ended. 1 family boundary was established. 1 expensive commitment was reduced. 1 retirement test exposed a hidden problem. The same 5 years would have passed, but the final walk out of the building would have felt different. Because retirement security is not created by time alone. It is created by what you change while time is still available. A paycheck can postpone retirement. It can fund retirement. It can improve retirement. But it cannot repair a life that will always require another paycheck. This week, take the Paycheck Dependency Test. Find the one obligation that has more power over your retirement than you realized. Then begin with 1 honest conversation, 1 calculation, or 1 small structural change. If you found your point of dependency, write "I found the dependency" in the comments. Subscribe for more calm, practical conversations about the invisible habits shaping your money, your retirement, and your freedom.